Of course, it uses the wrong scene switch. And of course, it's still thing. It's locking up. I don't even understand what it's doing. Okay, back to the bumper for you. Okay, it's going to try and do the intro. I'm just going to let it play the historic one. I don't even care at this point. I'm afraid if I mess with it, then it's just going to start flipping out on the videos. This will only take about 10 seconds and then we'll be in it. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another thrilling race here at Champion Motorsports. I am Ross Smith, today joined by Becky Ely, by surprise, in the commentary booth. We're here for the 60 laps of the Virtual World Sports Car Championship at Watkins Glen. So it's going to be an exciting race today. We're going to kick into it real quick here as we've had a small delay in getting the broadcast. So things are going to be moving along quickly here. Right now, we're going through driver briefings with race director George Angelidis. So he's getting drivers situated for today's about 2 hours, 15-minute race, about somewhere in there. So we'll be kicking off into warm-up in just a moment. It'll be a brief session and get everybody acquainted with their cars before we get out on track. So without any further ado, before we kick into introductions here, we're going to take a look at what's happening down for this race. And you'll have to bear with me today. We are missing James Parfit with the JPB, the broadcasting group, who normally takes care of this event. But unfortunately, James had a bit of an incident. Get more into that here in a little bit. So we have a little bit of a backup here with our ragtag team. I shouldn't say that for Becky, of course.
It's very ragtag.
Don't downplay yourself. It's going to be better because you're here. Otherwise, they just have to listen to me the whole time. But as we get things going here for today's race, we'll take a look at today's race map for Watkins Glen International Raceway. This will be a MEC round, the Michelin Endurance Championship Cup, which normally takes place here over at in the States. Obviously, WEC doesn't come here much anymore since probably about I want to say the 80s might have been the only time that they're here. I'm sure George will probably be screaming at me for making an assumption like that. But it's a relatively simple course in terms of what we typically see. Only 11 corners, and many of them are fast and flowing. Drivers have an orange zone all the way up through the bus stop, the infamous chicanes there up at that long straight, which came in shortly after J.D. McDuffie had a terrible incident there, going off into the outer loop and hitting the wall, and unfortunately losing his life. Of course, there were several other Formula One drivers when they were running here in the 70s, early 80s, where things were quite dangerous. They tried to put a little bit of a chicane in the S's, which for those who will be watching the 1981 broadcast for our Group 5 cars, you'll get to see that configuration, where I personally think it's atrocious. It ruins the flow of that part of the track, but that's probably why it only stayed there for about a race or two. And of course, you go down through the
That's
chute
the end of the
into
warm-up.
the famous boot
Warm-up
section,
session
great
underway.
up and down
8 minutes
racing,
to prepare.
long corners. Nothing really too tight here, and it's going to be really tight with track limits, unfortunately, for drivers, as they're starting to find out through the course of practice and qualifying. It's very easy to get cuts. Fortunately, the cuts aren't too bad, but of course, any driver who's having to deal with them might argue otherwise. So we'll see a bit of that as things kick off here. Just waiting for a moment for things to transition. Quickly looking at the calendar, we have the Glen is basically our halfway point through the season. Quite a bit of preseason testing, and of course the Le Mans test that we had back in May before the main event took place last month. And going beyond here, we have Sao Paulo next, which is just a week away. Very short turnaround. August is capped off with Road America and COTA, so finishing our North American tour almost. We still have Road Atlanta after Fuji, which takes place at the end of September. And of course, there is the Petit Le Mans in October, followed by Qatar, maybe at the end of October. Bahrain should be the finisher. However, we might be having Silverstone and possibly a different track taking up the reins there. In fact, I think Becky was watching Roger on that particular track. It all comes down to what WEC does in the end. So that's judged by our wonderful race director here, George Angelidis. He makes the call on that. So we'll see how that goes. But we like to try and stay with whatever the actual World Endurance Championship is doing. Some keys to today's race. Hold on to the tires. There are new curbs actually in the throughout the track, but mostly within the bus stop. Our wonderful Ben Borman and Don Fryman have worked tirelessly to try and get the updates to this track in place, so that way everyone can enjoy a more modern layout. And there's obviously been a lot of debauchery around the bus stop curbing over the last 2 years, where there were curbs. There was nasty pyramid curbs that drivers were finding quite violent, and then I believe today there are no curbs on the entry corner. I have to double check there to see what they ended up going with, because I know there are a couple last minute changes. But for today's race, probably about 2 stops, maybe, for the GTs. Being a lap race, they're going to have to watch where the hypercars are coming in, which, like I said, it should be a little bit more than 2 hours, but which is going to peg them around 3 to 4 stops. Depends on how they're running their fuel mixture and how the race goes. Obviously, there's no weather today. maybe not obvious if you haven't looked at the forecast, but that would normally be something that could slow things down or create a bit of an issue where judging where people are going to be at what points in the race can become very tricky. You'll see GT drivers having to struggle with that, managing their own race and also figuring out what the heck the leader is and what lap they're on. Hopefully they've done that math already, and they'll be okay going into all of the strategy that's going to come about today. Looking at standings real quick, I'm just going to kind of top off on some of the top teams and drivers here. Ben Kesby leads the way over Tom Lane. They've been having a ferocious back and forth throughout the season. We saw in Sebring it came down to the wire between those two in a dramatic fashion. Though Gutierrez is not far behind there. He's only 68 points away, and there are a lot on the table, certainly after Le Mans, that's shaking things up. Michael Locke is just the ways behind him as well.
LMGT3 and Darrell Kruger in trouble.
And Subic, they're in SKS.
Here's the replay.
And then we've got Long, Smith, Troy Leon, and Ade Karachak. So right through there is actually double over on the other side there. Then for the teams, British Turkish Racing and the Ferraris are leading the way by a healthy gap. They had a bad day racing.
We're back live, Yuki Takanashi now, P17.
With SKS Motorsport taking up third place position there with teams switching over here to the Hypercar AM side of things. Sorry, the internet's a little bit slow today, so bear with me, everybody, as I'm trying to do this from a remote location. There we go. We have George Angelidis leading Jerry Chen coming out of a very successful Le Mans race where 963 was not as strong as it could have been, although no discredit to George and teammate Zach, who put on a very good run that's managed to peak them ahead with an 18-point lead. Not much, but you can see all of those guys up there in the top 5 between those two teams. So a vicious battle with Vinicius Goncalves sneaking in there, and he's trying to eye his way up the order as well and keep things on the road with his Aston Martin Valkyrie, and he might have a chance there. Weiss brothers are down a little bit there, mixed in with John Mayer, who used to run with Jerry Chen and NA, but he's kind of running his own at the moment, and I can't recall who he had as his team. I'm going to get that out, but we've got a few further back there with Thorngraff and Dean Clark, who's coming to Newey Series, with the points there over on the right hand, and I think we're getting ready to go. So unfortunately, we're going to have to cut the points a little bit early before we get to GTs, but that's okay. We'll come back to that later as we transition over. It looks like we might have a few minutes here, but yeah. Well, welcome Becky Clark to the booth. Thank you for jumping in here. It's a little last minute.
You are most welcome. Are you sure you don't want to go through the GT Championship? We do have 2 minutes.
Yeah, we can probably pull those up real quick. I'm just going to grab those cards and we can pull them in. But while I'm doing that, what do you think for today's race?
I think today's race is going to be pretty exciting. It seems very close at the front of Hypercar between Axel Laflamme and Ben Borman, who are both way down the championship, only sort of doing a bit of part-time, both of them. I think Axel's come in a bit late, and I know his first race was a bit of a disaster where he ran out of fuel, but they are extremely fast, and it also looks like we don't have our championship leader here today. So that's going to really, in Hypercar, we are really going to shake up the championship if that is the case. I'm just looking and I do not see any Ben Kesby. So that's going to give Tom Lane a very good chance to take a lovely lead in the championship away from Ben. So that's going to have ramifications. But can Tom take a good haul of points when both Ben Borman and Axel Laflamme have been so fast? Over on the GTs, I think it looks like our resident sim racing hero Dan Kirby
warm up done onto
is
the race.
looking like he'll be very difficult to beat, and it's really just going to be damage limitations for JT, who has not qualified as high up as I think he would probably like to, and has Yuki Takanashi coming back for his second race for a very long time, and Alan Holden in between him and Dan.
Yeah, 100%. Bringing up those standings just as you were talking about them here, you can see Dan Kirby up top ahead of JT Tammy by a fairly healthy margin right now, though JT is certainly putting pressure on him. Johnny Ewan falling in there in third, Snowden in fourth, who's been doing very well in his AMG Evo for, I think that's the third year in a row. And David Yunt right behind him, who ironically enough has joined up with JT in the team's championship, try and take a run at the lead, although between the CMS Pro guys, Uyan Kirby and younger Uyan, Troy Uyan there.
The grid is set. 26 cars in 4 classes ready to go. First up, Hypercar. Axel Laflamme leads Hypercar in the number 57 Aston Martin Valkyrie.
It does appear like that team was put together late as well, because they actually have less points than JT. Tammy has one himself. So that's going to make it even taller order to catch CMS Pro.
Evo P3. P4, Tom Lane in the number 50 Ferrari 499p. At P5, Timon Suvic in the number 81 Toyota TR010. Gilles Lalonde, number 2 Cadillac V-Series, R Evo P6. Alessandro Smeraldi in the number 73 Acura ARX Z06 Evo P7.
They're all very close together.
P8, Magnus Dahlgren in the number 89 Toyota TR010. Next up, Hypercar AM. Top of Hypercar AM, Jerry Chen in the number 66 Porsche 963. George Angelidis, number 93 Acura ARX E06 Evo P2. Zachary Chauveau in the number 60 Acura ARX 06 Evo P3. At P4, Norm Graff in the number 13 Aston Martin Valkyrie.
Will be looking
Dean
to
Clark, number 31
get
Cadillac
back
V-Series,
into that championship fight, as he has taken the AM pole.
LMGT3.
And by a margin big enough to have a throw in between himself and Matthew Overton.
GT3.
So
P2,
look out for
Alan
Stephen
Holden
today.
in the number 25 Lamborghini Tamario GT3.
Always
At
very
P3,
quick.
Brian Hall in the number 3
3
Chevrolet Corvette Z06 GT3 RGT3. Yuki Takanashi, number 999 Porsche 911 GT3 992 P4. G to me in the number 12 Lexus RCF GT3 P5. At P6, David Junt in the number 14 Lexus RCF GT3. P7, John Yarn in the number 11 Porsche 911 Porsche 912 Riley Koenig, number 24 Porsche 911 GT3 1992 P8.
Sure, for sure.
And now LMGT3 AM.
Rundown here on
Stephen Miller leads LMGT3 AM in the number 424 McLaren 720S Evo. Matthew Overton in the number 174 Ferrari 296 Evo GT3 P2.
Right next to
At P3, Vasilis Katarinakis in the number 67 Ford Mustang Evo GT3. Josh Lighttree, number 912 Porsche 911 GT3 1992 P4. P5, Darrell Kruger in the number 94 McLaren 720S Evo.
Dan Kirby leading ahead for GT, and on pole with him is Holden, Brian Hall, Takanashi, Tanner Yunt, John Uyan. Then we break into AMS with Stephen Miller, Riley Koenig there for the pros, Matthew Overton, Vasilis Katarinakis, Petrie, and Kruger for a 26-car field as they come around for the last 3 corners. We're ready to go green.
Be a good one. I wonder who's going to get into turn 1 first. It looks like Ben Borman might have the inside line starting in 2nd place. So this is going to be a real tight one.
I'm very interested to see how Borman can do. He's obviously shown that he's got a lot of speed in that vehicle, but he hasn't really had an opportunity to show off by the end of the race, either owing to mechanical issues or technical problems. It's just it's sort of been a I've got ample talent, but no place to put it kind of situation.
Ben Borman in a nutshell, there isn't it? As
and
they
the green
are
flag is
about
out.
to
They're
take
racing.
The green flag.
Vasilis Katarinakis up 1 place to P2 in LMGT3.
And we are green.
G Tammy climbs 1 position in the
like Axel
LMGT3
class. Has got away at the front, followed by Ben Borman,
now
Johnny
P2 in
Gutierrez, Tom
LMGT3
Lane.
AM. Gilles Lalonde got one
Everyone's
place to
kept it
P6
nice
in
and tidy for the
Hypercar.
first corner.
Magnus Dahlgren climbs one position in the Hypercar class.
Great start here by everyone. No
Magnus Dahlgren has been one of the big movers, up 3 from P11 to P8. Johnny Gutierrez on the move in Hypercar up to P2.
Not Alan Holden's teammate, but one of the other
Zachary Chauveau gets by David Junt.
They finally take their first attack.
3 cars scrapping over P23. Vasilis Katerinok is Matthew Overton and Josh Lighttree.
Here we can see if there is a big curve. It looks like there is not a big curve for the race. So I did see that it might just be painted lines going into the bus stop chicane.
Traffic cleared for Zachary Chauveau.
Does seem to be the case as we're on board with Vasilis Katrinakis, who is watching Matthew Overton very closely, probably looking for a way through and see if he can go on and chase
Zachary
Stephen
Chauveau
Miller.
works through traffic.
Can Katrinakis get round the outside?
Stephen Miller all over Riley Koenig for P2M.
Kept it very tight there.
He did, just as we switch away. So I'm going to go and follow myself. Unfortunately, Vasilis did not make it through. And now we're on Stephen Miller, who has let Riley Koenig through, or perhaps Riley Koenig overtook him. But Stephen is pulling a little gap on Matt Overton with him fighting with Vasilis Katrinakis behind. So perfect start for Stephen.
Norm Graf heading into pit lane.
Very strong.
Zachary Chauveau up one place to P4 in Hypercar. AM. Another look at Zachary Chauveau overtaking Dean Clark in Hypercar AM.
That is incredible, isn't it? Pulling 2.5 seconds on the first lap. Absolutely amazing by Axel Flam.
There, we'll bring that back up here in a second.
3 cars scrapping over P113 J Tami, Yuki Takanashi and Brian Hall. Backlarge JT Tami sitting P14.
Now, he's fallen back a little bit. He's got to get a good run for this race, putting that Lexus to good use. It's going to be the last
rejoins from the pits.
RCF is going to be in competition, obviously being replaced by the GRGT.
Pit stop
so
complete
he's
for
definitely
Dean Clark.
getting it. It's all. The car does very well. The front engine works really well. You can see right behind him there, Brian Hall.
3 cars scrapping over P3. Tom Lake, Ben Borman and Timon Subic.
VOP adjustment going into this race, so we'll see if he's able to do much with it. Already hoping to do one stick there.
Jerry Chen has taken the Hypercar AM lead.
Chasing down Ben Borman, you're just talking about. Very interesting.
Here's that Hypercar AM pass by Jerry Chen on George Angelidis.
Yes, very straight. So Ben seemed to be slipping and sliding a bit in the Acura, perhaps struggling with the full fuel load and colder tyres. He's dropped behind Johnny Gutierrez and he's nearly 5 seconds behind Axel Leflam already, with Tom Lane all over the back of him. We apologise for the lack of pictures. We'll get them back, and we are back with Timon Subic. For a second, Timon Subic is in 5th place following Tom Lane.
Every corner is a fresh chapter in this duel. Personal best in Sector 1 for Brian Hall. Green Sector 1 for Riley Koenig.
But we're getting sorted out.
Axel Leflam in command, 4 seconds clear.
So, meanwhile, Axel Leflam is flying, putting the fastest lap of the race with a 1 minute 32 flat. Johnny Gutierrez in second managed a 1:32.8 behind,
cleared
as it looks like we are back with Matthew Overton and Vasilis Katrinakis, who are incredibly close going through the S's there. Down to the bus stop, is Vasilis going to make a move? He holds station for now.
Alessandro Smeraldi
clears the slower car. Is
on board with Alessandro Smeraldi,
having a little thought of closing up on them as well as they fight. Oh, Vasilis has gone wide, looking around the outside, looking to the inside.
Traffic cleared for Alessandro
around
Smeraldi.
The outside as we're on board with Alessandro Smeraldi.
A new session best through Sector 2 for Axel Leflam.
Has dropped back.
Alessandro Smeraldi works through traffic.
Alessandro has dropped back into the GT3s.
Gilles Lalonde sets a personal best through Sector 2. On board with George Angelidis, chasing Magnus Dahlgren for P7.
Early on, I had to run through the pits. I didn't check.
Alessandro Smeraldi gets by Yuki Takanashi.
Back there.
Wheel to wheel, and neither one blinking.
Might have been one of our attempted replays that sort of missed there, but we should be able to capture the rest of it now.
Alessandro Smeraldi clears the slower car.
Smeraldi had to knock into Alan Holden.
The gap is under half a second for Josh Lectry.
So he
Alessandro Smeraldi goes green in sector 1.
Whereas
John
George
Yuan
is
climbs one position in the LMGT3 class.
Perfect.
Here's John Yuan's
George
pass
out
on
front
Jay Tammy
with his
in
teammate behind him.
LMGT3. 3 cars
With
nose
an
to tail.
11-second
Brian Moore,
gap,
Yuki
so something has
Takanashi
happened
and John
in the
Yuan.
midfield of Hypercars.
Let's see, is that JT Taney going to the pit road there? Well, one
That
of the
does look like JT, doesn't it? It's either JT or David.
3 cars nose to tail.
It
Alan Holden,
is
Daniel Kirby and Yuki
JT.
Takanashi.
Yeah,
Back to the action, and Alan Holden's up to P13.
Now, it seems like it would be awfully early for him to be receiving any kind of drive-through penalty, but that was a very
Tammy
stern
back out on track.
Yes, the track cuts are very tight, but then JT's always good with track cuts. He knows how not to get a track cut, as it looks like we are following
in the
Yuki
LMGT3
Takanashi
closing on Norm
with
Graff.
Alan Holden.
Tom Lane holding P4.
Can Yuki get through
John
to make
Yuan,
it a
all over
Porsche
Brian Hall
1-2?
for P5. David John catching the
Julian,
hypercar and Norm
Dan's
Graff.
teammate, who is chasing down the newly improved Corvette of Brian Hall. Brian really showing what it can do when it has a proper VOP.
P9 for Zachary Chauveau.
A bit of a struggle. What they're finding is a down on torque, which I know that Don Fryman, who is a lover of GM, and I know that he was getting a little bit frustrated, thinking like, man,
after over a minute, neither driver is backing down.
Gave it the love that they need to. Back
Traffic for John Yuan, Hypercar Amcar ahead.
Chasing after Matthew Overton. Now, you might know this better, Becky, but do you think that he might be sticking in line?
Vasilis Katarinakis is under relentless pressure here.
Keep track of his resources. Still very early on.
P13 Alan Holden, keeping it clean.
Is he just kind of staying
Norm Graff holding P15.
Looking for an opportunity, or
David John losing in P18.
I think he is definitely looking for an opportunity, whether he's sticking behind and doing some fuel saving. I do remember that earlier in the season, Vasilis had a fantastic race with Max Piotrowski. But what Vasilis didn't realise is that Max was saving fuel the whole time. So when it came to their final stops, Max was suddenly 20 seconds down the road, and Vasilis was like, what happened? So perhaps Vasilis, as he just gets overtaken by Dean Clark in the Hypercar and fourth position, I might add.
Traffic as Matthew Overton
perhaps Vasilis has learned from that one and is just sticking behind and saving a bit of fuel, thinking I'll get Matt later.
Gilles Lalonde is getting into a rhythm now. Great progress from Josh Lectry. Now P3 in LMGT3 AM on the replay now.
It's 60 laps of whatever the hypercars finished, so I believe that the GTs is something like around 40-something, 47 I want to say, is what I was looking at when trying to get out the calculations. But it's still very, very tricky, and it's something that you want to
live in Hypercar and George Angelidis now P1.
Quite a bit with GTs.
Daryl Kruger up one place to P4 in LMGT3 AM.
What's kind of the preparation that you have when you're coming up with your strategy?
Well, the ideal preparation is to know how fast the fastest hypercar is going to go and hope that whoever is the fastest hypercar has put in the practice that you can see the time. So we've got Axel Laflamme here. Axel Laflamme does put in the practice, so what the GTs can do is go look back at his race pace.
Losing a bit of pace now, Daniel Kirby.
Laflamme is a sensible fellow. I imagine he does a lot of race pace, so he doesn't just hop that when he does practice, because he sure puts in the laps practice. And what the GT drivers do is they can look back at his practice sessions, see what his average laps have, and go, well, if this is his average lap, he will do 60 laps in this much time. How fast are my laps? How many laps will I do in that time? And then you might want to add one on, add two on, because race pace, there'll be more rubber on the track, so it will be a bit quicker, and go from there. But to be honest, I normally just wing it most of the time. But that's what they should do.
Gilles Lalonde's best sector one of the session.
Just wing it, huh? Just push as hard as you can and
Magnus Dahlgren with 54.
Well, actually, I love endurance racing, so I love the fuel saving and the not pushing. It's how fast I can go with using as little fuel as possible is what I enjoy.
Right, yes. And you
losing
do a very
a bit of
good
pace
job
now,
that,
Zachary
Chauveau. Certainly helped
Dean
me
Clark
whenever I was
works
trying
through
to get
traffic.
into any of the fuel saving in the 1985 Group C, and now
Gilles Lalonde is building a cushion.
Yes.
Quicker laps now from Alessandro Smeraldi.
Probably learned a thing or two from that take that a little bit for the rest of this 60 laps of Glen.
Yes, hopefully he will. Hopefully he'll have a very good race. It looks like Matt Overton has dropped back, so Vasilis maybe scared him out the way, as we are on board with Josh Lepetri, who is up into third in the GT AMS, and it looks like he has about a 3-second gap to catch up with Vasilis. But
Daniel Kirby carries more speed through the middle sector.
7 tenths slower on the last lap. So Vasilis has now been released by Matt Overton, and I think he's going to be looking at closing down Stephen Miller as the gap's close to within a second.
Axel Laflamme maintaining P1. Riley Koenig has been quicker, pulling away.
Now, see Johnny Gutierrez
for Tom Lane.
And
Tymon Subic is struggling to maintain the pace.
Closed right up, so Ben Borman took a little while to get going in the Acura, but he's now siving his way through the traffic, past Stephen Miller. You see Vasilis catching in the back, closing on Stephen Miller, as Ben Borman chases down second place. And the pace that he was showing in practice and qualifying, it's how long is it going to take, rather than will Ben get Johnny.
Personal best in sector 3 for Zachary Chauveau. Jerry Chen has found some pace in the last few laps.
Yeah, for sure.
We're over a minute
into
this fight and still no resolution.
End of this race. I mean, any issues to that?
Yes,
traffic cleared for Dean
we will
Clark.
see Ben make it all the way to the end. He does have a habit of having mechanical issues that sometimes are nothing to do with the game, sometimes it is the game, sometimes it's his equipment.
Sets a personal
you
best
never really know what's going to go wrong, but if something goes wrong somewhere for someone, it usually will be Ben if it's of the technical nature. As we just saw JT lapping around in 8th place and unfortunately in last of the GT Pros. As we're back to Ben Borman chasing down Johnny, with Tom Lane not far behind as well, so Tom Lane's going to be hoping to make this three-way battle for second.
A bit of pace now,
Axel
Laflamme. The middle sector is where Johnny Gutierrez is
quicker.
quicker.
Up to 4.5 seconds now.
The lap times are starting to drop off with Johnny Gutierrez.
I assume it will be.
Let's see what happens.
One of the Porsches. I've got a replay here that seems to be going very slowly on my screen, and that is a spinning fly. Is that Alan Holden? That is Alan Holden's livery. Oof, very close.
And we're back to the race.
I don't think that was Alan Holden. It was
Josh Lagtry's quicker through the first sector.
Oh, it's Matthew Overton.
0.7 seconds.
That was Matthew Overton,
Jerry Chen,
wasn't it?
Very easy to do on that
Alessandro Smeraldi with 7.0 seconds of clear air ahead.
Oh wow, that was a very close call there too when the hypercar came by for
Matthew Overton has ducked into the pits from P26. The first sector is where Alessandro Smeraldi pulls away.
Taken by the fight for second in the hypercars. As Alan tries to close in on Dan Kirby, a gap of 3 seconds at the moment, and he can see Dan, so he's got that carrot hanging there in front of him to push as much as possible. We know that Alan Holden can produce some extraordinarily quick laps, but can he hold it together for the whole race? A bit like Ben Borman, to be honest, in these modern cars. I know in a historic car, Ben could keep lapping the same lap time over and over and over, and somehow get faster and faster, even when his tyres are going.
Alan Holden and Yuki Takanashi trading advantages through the first and final sectors.
He has, for whatever reason, struggled to put together that whole
Tymon Subic is faster in, but Gilles Lalonde gets the better exit from the first and final sectors. Magnus Dahlgren is struggling to maintain the pace.
Behind Johnny, a little wiggle there. Ben's looking to the inside. He's getting alongside. Is he going to make the dive, or is he going to back off? He dives through. And
Ben Borman on the move
flies through.
Up to P2.
Absolutely beautiful from Ben. Not sure how happy Johnny's going to be with that, because he's had to back right off because of that. As we've got the replay coming up now, seen from the helicopter.
Shot this pass. Yeah.
Oh. Johnny took right in avoidance, just keep it safe, no point risking an accident, there's a long race yet.
That's where Norm Graff is making time through the first sector.
And maybe 3 with Tom Lane here are going to be fighting the whole way through.
Matthew Overton rejoins from the pits.
Rubbed his hands together and laughed because everyone's fighting and he's just clearing off.
This battle has been raging for over a minute now.
Meanwhile,
this will be the first opportunity that. Oops, sorry, go ahead.
Strong drive out of the final sector for Axel Laflamme.
Quicker
laps now from Dean Clark.
The first opportunity
losing a bit of pace now, Ben Borman. Johnny Gutierrez has been quicker, pulling away.
The last 2 races in Le Mans, but
Simon Subic running in P5.
Different circumstances came up on both of those races.
Simon Subic extending the lead.
Some incidents which then, of course,
George Angelidis in the Hypercar Am closing on Gilles Lalonde. Gap now 4.1 seconds for Magnus Dahlgren.
The rest of the drivers in this class. So this is his first real opportunity
to go for John Ewan.
He has to be able to hold it over some of these other drivers.
John Ewan is making time through the middle sector. Zachary Chilveau closing the gap to Magnus Dahlgren.
Up there fighting quite as much, or even his own teammate.
Better traction for Vasilis Katerinakis out of the final sector.
He's
got 3 now. Yeah. So they've got.
Josh Latcher's
I know that there's quite a bit of skill in that stable as we see JT Taney now coming up behind one of the clones. I think that's the
Team Tammy clears the slower car.
Yes.
Oh, and we've got
51 remaining.
I thought it was one of the hypercars for a quick second there.
As David Yunt is trying to close in on John Uyen, he gets overtaken by one of the hypercars and staying out of traffic. Now, David Yunt is our resident hypercar hater.
The first sector
if anybody's going to give a hypercar a hard time, it's going to be David. And if we sit on board for long enough, we might actually see that as the hypercar field is making its way through.
Axel Laflamme is pulling away, gap up by 7.5 seconds.
No seconds.
Tom Lane carries more speed through the middle sector.
I'm driving my line, and you're a menace.
Tom Lane with the entry. Simon Subic with the exit of the first
and
final sectors. Good pace from George Angelidis through the middle sector. George Angelidis is quicker through the first sector.
Back and forth between those 2 fields for sure.
Magnus Dahlgren is making time through the middle sector.
Back at the hypercars towards the pointy end, where Johnny Gutierrez is getting gapped by Ben Borman, and Ben Borman is now lapping a very similar pace to Axel Laflamme at the front, with Johnny Gutierrez 4 tenths off their last lap and Tom Lane a further 5 tenths off Johnny. So it looks like we are getting a little bit of field spread right in
Jerry
front
Chen had
of
a
the
significant problem on lap 5. Here's what we missed.
Ooh. That was a... Oh no. Was that Zachary and Jerry?
I think it was, yeah. So two combatants within that team championship.
Yes.
And this was definitely a race where Jerry wanted to make that catch up in points after they fell a little bit behind for the big 50-point haul.
LMGT3 and Darrell Kruger behind LMGT3. Jake Tummy.
Bit naughty. I think Zachary is going to be sitting on the naughty chair, getting a slap on the wrist after this.
Ben Borman carries more speed through the middle sector.
Jerry went to go past. Jerry's not going to be a very happy puppy now.
It might be interesting to see what
Simon
the
Subic improves in
with
sector
some of
1.
That, just because I do know that they were struggling
P13
a bit
Dean Clark,
with the
43.5 back from the next car.
On. I wonder maybe
George Angelidis is getting into a rhythm now.
Doing his best to keep off the curbing and not catch a track extension. Maybe keep that over on Jerry and doing so.
He may have done, but there was a Porsche in the way. And I think that is going to be a slap on the wrist for him because of it. As we watch Axel Laflamme flying through the field. And now, I know from a brief racing experience of Axel Laflamme does not give space. The GTs are going to get stived through like who is an executioner. And hopefully he won't execute any GT3s and they'll all get off with their lives.
Yes, hopefully no GTs will suffer from that, but here, I'm sure JT would appreciate not being consumed by some of these. Although
I'm sure Matt Overton will appreciate seeing I think it's the same replay. I'm sure Matt will appreciate seeing that replay over and over and over. Just remind you, Matt, you did crash there. It has ruined your race. We'll remind you many times through the race that it did. You see George Angelidis going past.
Jumping there, I think that's...
Sure, is that Dean Clark that George Angelidis was just lapping? Well, George is flying nonetheless. He's actually in front of Magnus Dahlgren in the Hypercar Pros, and Magnus is no slouch. And George has 21 seconds on his teammate, Zachary, in second, who has 5 seconds on probably quite fuming Jerry Shen behind, who is not closing, as Zachary is... I'll stick you in a wall, and now I'm going to unleash my fastest lap and zoom off. So, a good job by Zachary putting in some fast lap times. He was 1.5 seconds faster than George in front that last lap. Zachary was. He was 2 seconds faster than Timon Suvic in the pros. Again, no slouch. An absolutely mega lap from Zachary.
I mean, this will be a great points haul for them if they're able to maintain those positions through the end of the race. We're still only 14 laps into the 60-lap race, so only a quarter of the way through.
The pit stops have started.
Yes, they have. You see Johnny Gutierrez going by now. I'm sure that the Hypercars will be in probably within the next few laps.
They already are. They're already in. We've got Axel Laflamme, Timon Suvic, and Gilles Lalonde in the pit. So Ben Borman was about 8 seconds behind or so. He's been saving more fuel, so that gap might close up through the race. And with it,
he's also another team with fuel.
Yes, he is. With Axel Laflamme stopping on lap 14, that's going to really make it hard for him to come back and win this race, Ross.
I'm not sure what happened with that. With the offset and the fuel strategy, there's a potential that they can come back in here and not lose too much, but that is way early for any sort of pit stop. So unless it's going to come down to a splash and dash, which certainly for GTs is quite in the cards, maybe. It's going to hurt for sure.
Yeah, no hypercar is going to want to splash and dash, because for anyone that does struggle a bit with maths, 14 does not go into 60, whereas 15 does. So anyone stopping now can make it nice and easily on a 3-stop race. 14 laps would be a 4-stop race with a splash at the end, which would cost Axel greatly, as Ben Borman has gone on to do another lap. So Ben Borman has extended, even with fantastic pace, he's extended on everyone else. George Angelidis at the front of Hypercar AMS is in, so Ben's extended on his Hura stable mates as well. As we look at Alessandro Smeraldi for the first time, he's going very long. So Smeraldi did not have the greatest start to this race, but by extending, he might be able to pull himself back into contention.
Yeah, Smeraldi was the ARX that we saw in that second replay with Matthew Overton. Nearly hit him. That is such a dangerous corner whenever there's any kind of incident, because even if you can see it happening up the hill, it's so difficult to pinpoint where exactly on track cars might be positioned and actually get yourself where you can get around it. So quick hands fortunately saved him from initial damage, and now he's up to second. So doing what you can to salvage a a little bit of a blunder early on as we switch to Axel Laflamme, who's now deep into some traffic here. I think that's Gutierrez.
He's
no, I'm sorry.
Deep into Tom Lane.
Yeah, Tom
Poor
Lane.
position. Not traffic.
Yeah, effectively
Axel has been jumped.
this is the lead of the race, I want to say, unless Tom is going to end up coming into the pits later on. I'm not sure if he is or not, but yeah, this is guns out, sun's out.
Axel has lost a bucket of time in the pits. That's what's happened, which means that Ben Borman, who has just pitted, should come out in front and with a healthy little lead. So Axel Laflamme, something has gone horrifically wrong, because not only did he pit on lap 40, which would be a 4-stop, but he's been jumped by at least 3 cars, as long as Ben Borman doesn't have a horrific time in the pits as well, that is.
Yeah, Ben's stop should be coming up to the end here. Ferraldi's in, and now they're going to be coming up. So this is actually going to be very close. Unfortunately, switching the race. So Gutierrez swings by. Ben is now coming out. Oh, they're going to be all on top of each other as we spotted over here. JT Tang was down in 8th in the GT field, thanks to that earlier stop. And Borman is now right in front of Gutierrez. It's showing him for a long pit stop. We'll see if we can get that clear as Gutierrez now takes the lead of the race. And we've got a yellow in sector 1, I think is what that said. Let's here. So this is actually exactly as it happened. So Gutierrez coming up right behind Borman. I don't like that they're coming up behind. Oh, no!
Oh.
What happened there?
Did Ben go into the GT3 there, or did Ben have a normal technical issue?
That was...
Ben Borman has dropped a 5th now.
The curse continues then. Yeah, you can see parts of his car littered across the track as they go on board here with Dan Kirby leading one of the GTs. It was such a hard pull to the left, unless he was reacting to something that the GT was doing. I can't see.
Was Daryl Kruger,
yeah.
And Daryl Kruger it looks like Daryl Kruger lost control a little bit and had a little slide. Yeah, Daryl Kruger had a little slide over to the left just as Ben Borman went to go past, leaving Ben nowhere to go. The Ben Borman luck continues.
Race where things were going so well. It's such a great strategy he was pulling off there, really nursing it with that fuel tank. And I know that the ARX does fairly well at this track. It's got good medium downforce through a lot of the corners, which the car handles well. It's not too bumpy to disrupt that Oreca chassis, so it tends to be pretty stable. And I know that for a track like this, and the type of driver that Ben is, he would certainly be maximizing all those characteristics, putting it the best that he could. Unfortunately, that's going to really hurt. He hit that hard, that wall extremely hard, so I can't imagine he wouldn't have any sort of bent armature or anything like that.
No, I imagine his car is very difficult to drive now, as we are on board with the race leader, Johnny Gutierrez. So I apologise, Johnny, for what I said earlier about Ben getting past you. You're now leading the race with Axel Laflamme chasing him down. Can Johnny hold off Axel? Does Johnny even need to hold off Axel with Axel stopping so early? Unless Axel does a major fuel saving, Johnny might just think, well, I'll let him go and I'll just get him later. It looks like Zachary is now leading Hypercar and with Jerry called right back up, George right behind as well. So something's happened to George that's lost him 20 seconds, because George was 20 seconds in front of Zachary, with Jerry a further 5 seconds back, and now they're all lying astern, having what will become a real ding-dong, because they seem to be in the opposite order for outright pace.
Yeah, that's it's very interesting. Usually the pit stops break the field up. If anything, this has just squished them back together.
Yes. Yeah, there's been the people at the front have had the slow stops. All down goes the Porsche. So easy to do in that car, isn't it? Was that Josh LaPetri or was that Riley? I'm afraid I'm not au fait on everyone's liveries this year.
Yeah, and that one was the Bend, a default livery that's being used there. So pull up the sidebar here.
That was Josh LePetri.
Yep.
Oh no, it's not Stephen Miller with a problem. Oh, Stephen, it was all going so well.
Right into the boot, and that's right in front of Vasilis, who was chasing him down like a rabid dog. They were looking to have a very strong contest towards, but unfortunately that... Oh, boy.
Oh,
that's
that
right
was...
in front of one of the Lexuses.
Yep, that was probably JT Tammy, as JT Tammy is now in front of Stephen Miller. But that's not going to make for happy people, although actually it could have been David... No, it should be JT Tammy rather than David Young. David Young should be further up the road, but yeah, very unfortunate for Stephen Miller. Vasilis seems to be having the lovely effect of everyone jumping out of his way, and now he's in the lead. He's got no one else to jump out of his way now. So we're back on board with George, chasing down Jerry Chen. I wonder how angry is Jerry Chen going to be? How is he going to be able to keep his cool? I'm sure Jerry can keep his cool against Zachary, but he's not going to be a happy chappy. Will he try and move into T1 again, or do you think he'll try somewhere else this time? As George is having a look, a little sniff. Can I scare Jerry off the racing line and nip past with the Acura's great top speed down towards the bus stop? That's probably what George was thinking. Look at him close. Jerry goes defensive, George goes around the outside. There's a GT in the way. Oh, that's Josh LePetri getting a little boot up the bum by George. George screaming in his cockpit for Josh to get out of the way. James Parfitt back in the hospital because he's having an operation right now, also screaming at his phone for Josh to get out of the way, because Josh is an inferior GT mongrel and the blue flag's been jump out of the way, according to James Parfitt. James is rolling in his bed in agony now. This is what you've done to him, Josh. This is what you've done.
So you go back to the top here with Axel Flam now at the head of Gutierrez by about 2 1/3 seconds, and opening that gap a little bit, even though he's coming with some traffic here. For only having about 2 dozen cars or so in the field, it still feels like everyone manages to find each other around this track. It's not a very large one, but I mean, it only about 30 or so in the lap time here for some other minutes. Quite a bit, as we see Ben Borman now, he's back out, he's in 4th place now. We'll see how much
Same move on Team Onsuvic as he did on Johnny near the beginning of the race. Has it gone the exact same way? Has Team On had to back out and go across the grass? Is it going to be another ruthless overtake by Ben? Team On sensible, but he does go across the grass and has a big slide. That's all right. Team On's used to big slides. He loves big slides. One of the most, probably the most stylish driver that we have at CMS, Team Onsuvic. Watch him in the historics. It's an absolute joy to watch.
He's got that all-wheel drive in the Toyota.
Even better for drifting with.
Perfect. As we see the leader go by, Nash is sitting there in 2nd place in that portion of the fairly well. He's only about 15 seconds behind, which, all things being relative, that's actually not a bad gap to have. So it looks like, if they're going for pit review, yes, they are. So GT's now making their stop.
Yep. That is Yuki and John Uyan in the Porsches, and Riley Koenig. All the Porsches in apart from Dan Curry, so he had that 15-second gap and is saving fuel on the rest of the field. Typical Dan. Just another Saturday, isn't it, for him?
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame to see some of the bigger rivals that will really show up in the GT series not really putting their head in this time. I'm sure Dan would have loved to be up there with Gutierrez, Tom Lane, and I would say Ben Borman if he wasn't having a Borman race, but yeah, it's certainly giving quite a bit of competition. And not to say that Yunt and Takanashi are in slouches, but it's really hard to beat Dan because he's got such a good racecraft. He's heads up, and he's got great car control with it when it comes to some of the strategy there. Going in replay with Stephen Miller.
Oh no, Stephen. Don't have another moment. He's just into the pits. Oh, he's stopped. Well, there's one way to make sure you don't speed in the pit lane.
Yeah, very interesting Stephen Miller entry. Zach under pressure from Jerry Chen and teammate George Angelia. So this is a battle pack three-way for the top all podium steps here for REMs.
It's a big battle for Jerry as he wants to minimize that damage from the team with the Maya Shank Racing doing incredibly well here, and they will extend that lead in the team championship if things stay as it is. So Jerry really wants to get past and then hope that Zachary doesn't play the team game and holds up George a bit.
Yeah, and Jerry needs to do all he can to stay ahead of these guys because his teammate is not in this race, and if he wants another booster for the season, he's got to do everything he can to keep those points at bay. And certainly won the race. It is somewhere, I want to say it's somewhere in the 30s or so for the total points payout. So it's a big race that you don't want to lose anything to, unfortunately. Even if he does stay ahead of him, it's going to be costly. So right now it's just mitigating that cost.
Yes. And the best way to do that is to win.
And who's not winning right now is Daryl Kruger, who's the first to get a penalty, at least I believe. He's an earlier one, but I'm going to say that's probably for track cuts unless he managed to go speeding through the pits for his scheduled stop.
George tried to go around the outside of Jerry Shen into the bus stop, but he had to back out last minute. Jerry said, no, you're not having the space. I'm going defensive. I'm going to take the inside line. And George couldn't make it through with him.
Yes, I'm sure George would have a comment or two about out-braking into the corner, since he says that he waits till he sees God before he throws in the brakes. We know that he likes to try and get in there, because he says that's the only thing he has. He's like, I can beat you on strategy, and I can out-brake everyone. Everywhere else, I've got nothing.
Well, Jerry managed to keep it with George there on the inside as well, so not even the favourable line. So great defence by Jerry through there.
I'm glad to see that we are running the 2026 version that they did this year. I think it was last weekend or the week before. I'm getting mixed up now, but where the curbs were removed from that right-hand entry, because they would just be playing absolute chaos if they're left in there. Those things they were sick and violent. That's the best way to put it.
Yes, it creates some great racing, doesn't it? Having no massive curve going into the bus stop allows for some great overtakes. Is George going to try the same thing again here? Jerry is going defensive. George using the massive speed of the Acura up around the outside. He's got to get him this time. He's clear through. Is he going to have someone else in the way? Oh, Jerry's back.
See probably the outside move. Here we go. So again, I mean, this could probably be the same thing lap after lap. You know, we wouldn't even know which one it is with other than some of the other cars that are around them. I have a feeling that they're going to get to a point where some of the traffic is going to play a part in who's able to stay ahead of who going into that section. We saw it almost happen there. And they are right behind, is that Subic?
It does look like Subic. It's Magnus Dahlgren. They have caught up with Magnus Dahlgren in the Toyota in the Pro class. Again, I'm going to say this again, Magnus is no slouch, so our lead pack in Hypercar AMS are flying along, and it looks like they are coming up to our GT AM leader as well, of Vasilis Katrinakis, who currently has a 38-second lead on Stephen Miller, so fantastic race by Vasilis.
He's definitely benefited from a lot of the shenanigans going on. Stephen Miller having his issue coming into pit road, spinning out earlier. Kruger having to drive through. Not sure that much has happened with the pledge tree, but certainly Overton was overturned that kept seeing over and over again.
He did, but But could you say that was brought on by the pressure from Vasilis, for both Stephen Miller's first one and Matt Overton's?
Certainly didn't hurt for him to be there and ready to accept the position as soon as they had their moments. But back up here, George, it looks like he made the move. So he finally got by Jerry Chen.
And Zachary. Zachary has dropped back, so something has happened somewhere where Zachary must have held up Jerry, and Magnus as well has been overtaken by George and Jerry. So we switched away from that battle just at the wrong time, didn't we?
Yeah, that must have been real quick. I'm wondering if maybe Zach had a moment that Jerry had to react to. And that might have been something to do with Magnus Dahlgren here, who we see is now falling back. He's actually just in front of Zach.
Yes, I wonder whether it was Magnus had an issue that caused it.
First time that Jerry's had to contest with somebody else while he's trying to maintain pace. Now he's going to have to play catch up to George if he can. He's still maintaining about a second gap to him, and he might be able to maximize some of his fuel efficiency to get back up in front of him. You know Jerry can do that. Just have to see how the strategy plays out. George is going to try and push him.
What happened is, as you said, traffic is going to play a role. All four of them came up to David Yun at the same time, and if you've seen that meme where there's that white blonde girl sitting on a sofa with a load of burly black guys up behind her, that was David Yun in this situation, with 4 hypercars all swamping him at the same time. And unfortunately for Zachary, being the first one to come across David, he then got boxed in and completely lost out, and George took advantage, taking both Zachary and Jerry in one go. And that's how George got through. So George was probably cackling to himself with joy after that move, getting them both.
I'm not surprised at all that was going to happen. We kept seeing them run so close together. It's just a matter of time before that type of situation would come up. Look here at Matthew Martinez, that battle does go by. Zach is right behind him, but I think he's probably going to get him here just based on that pace. And like you said, this is very good characteristic now.
Yes, it's been some great pace by Zachary. It's almost a shame for him because he has been showing such good pace. He has roughly the same fastest lap as Jerry, who both have a faster lap than George, although George does seem to have the best race pace of the 3 at the moment. So it still could all come back together between the 3 of them, and I wouldn't be at all surprised if it does.
Well, we certainly saw that with the first round of pit stops. We've got probably another 10 laps or so, I want to say, before we get into the next round.
Not for the hypercars, we won't. The hypercars, I wonder whether Axel will be stopping next lap, because he stopped on lap 14 first time, so we'll have probably 3 laps before we see most of the hypers start to come in. But will Axel come in next lap? We will have another 10 laps or so before the GTs come in again, won't we? Because they'll be... Sorry?
I was just going to say, we're coming up on about halfway, so yeah, we're going to see a little bit of this exchange going on. We'll see Dahlgren's able to
Yes, it's strange to see Dahlgren struggling so much. Perhaps this track just isn't suited to the Toyota, because Timon's only in 5th as well, although Timon is running an okay pace. He's 7 seconds behind Ben Borman, 14 behind Tom Lane, so it's not the end of the world for Timon, but not the fastest pace from the Toyotas today.
I'm actually impressed Borman's able to keep up there. That was such a hard hit. I don't know that he even went in to get that repaired. I think he's just working with what he's got.
He is. But then Ben Borman is used to driving Lotuses, and there's one thing that Lotuses do, and that's spin. So he's used to cars that are hard to drive and hard to control, and he's used to hanging absolutely on the edge with 0 problems at all. His hands are so fast, Ben Borman, it's absolutely unreal. And the way that he can caress cars through the corner is just unrivaled. If he could treat a lady like he can treat a car, he would basically be running Playboy.
This is a favorite French. almost promise you. Although I guess James isn't here to correct us, so. Obviously, coming around the Ferrari over there. Unfortunate to see that, but it's still being properly represented.
Beautiful car. And Alan's up there in second place, having a great race.
Yeah, actually, that is a bit of a move there. So I guess he's moved ahead. He's 21 seconds. I'm guessing it's got to be a pit offset.
Perhaps, yeah, it could be. Daniel Kirby was 15 in front of Yuki Takanashi in the first stop, and I'm afraid that something has happened to Yuki, and he's just on an outlap now, so he's had an incident and he's dropped a lap behind the rest of the field in that Porsche as well, promoting Alan Holden up into an excellent second place, and 20 seconds behind Dan Kirby, 21 seconds, but 21 seconds behind Dan Kirby after 29 laps is an impressive feat, to be perfectly honest.
And, like you said, it is something did happen there to Takanashi all the way at the bottom of the field. He was just coming out, and I know that he stated that he's just kind of getting back into things. The major return, unfortunate circumstances in his life that wildly, so he's just trying to get back into the fold and just kind of enjoy some racing here. As we see Zach now finally putting the move on Magnus Dahlgren, so they should let him go. Oh, and now he goes over the grass.
Zach couldn't quite hold it together, and Magnus probably, I don't care, I'm not really racing you, I'm just doing my own thing. I'm not gonna slow down for you though, being overtaken by the third place AM driver. But Zachary is probably cursing there because he wants to get past Magnus and get back onto George and Jerry, who are escaping up the road. 6 seconds now to Jerry, whilst he's been bunged up behind Magnus.
I was just about to say, they're starting to lose a little bit of that battle pack ahead. He doesn't want to do that too much because when it comes to the next round of pit stops, he wants to be in a good position. Interestingly enough, I did just check, and both he and George are running the compounds. So that could play a role as things go on. I mean, the 963 is very good on its tires, especially Jerry's command. But I am curious to see what that does as they start to lose some of their tires in the races. And maybe if Jerry's able to make up on that.
All of the coureurs are running the hard, so either they've all learned something or they've all been cooperating with each other, but they are all running the hard tyres, which is a rare occurrence to see in the hypercars, as generally the top pro drivers just stick on the mediums and run all the way to the end on them anyway. As our second round of pit stop has started, and it does look like Axel Lefland made it all the way to lap 30 this time, or maybe to lap 29, as we're only on lap 30 now. So Axel Lefland has made it 15 laps this time, but that's still one short of that magic free stop. So he's still got to save an extra lap on top of his final stint somewhere if he doesn't want to have to do a splash and dash.
Should be able to do that, although it is still kind of close to the top. So whether he's able to pull that off and stay ahead of the competition if they're breathing down his neck, that's another thing. Certainly if you can save a trip down the road, that's going to benefit you quite a bit. But trade off everywhere else, that's always the question, is the race long enough or short enough that you go one way or the other? I guess that's the journey to figure out, right?
Yes. Yeah, so Axel, he basically has to do a 16-lap stint at some point so that he can get back onto that free stop strategy. So he's been feeling his way into this race. Maybe fuel didn't go quite right. He's done a 14 and a 15 stop. If he can up that to a 16 lap stint, then he'll be absolutely fine.
Well, Becky, here's an interesting one for you. Zach Chabot is now our leader, as you can see on the screen. So he's pulling out another lap on his teammate and rival, George and Jerry. So if he's able to not lose too much time here, he could potentially find himself in front of them coming through this
He could, yep. This is the time to really put in the push lap. It's hammer time. Zach, can he close in on the light fuel? And also it will play a bigger role at the next stop, because the next stop he'll have to put in less fuel than them as well.
Yeah, it always makes a huge difference. It's certainly something that you have to take into account when you're going through these distance races versus time runs. There's subtle differences, but when it comes to it right at the very end, it can just, it's just that one extra lap, 2 extra laps or something that maybe you weren't accounting for it, or you're trying to account for it, and the leader changes things up, and it can just throw everything off because it's an extra couple seconds in the pits. That's all it might take to lose a race.
Exactly, and that's what Zachary's going to be hoping at the end of the race, that George and Jerry have to have those extra few seconds in the pit stop and he can jump them. What Zachary really didn't want is for Magnus to do this extra lap as well, and that's going to be upsetting Zachary, and he's going to be hoping they can get out in front of Magnus in this pit stop race.
Just watching Dahlgren do his stop.
Ben Borman has carried on. So Ben Borman has gone further than everyone else in the hypercars. It looks like Alessandro Smeraldi is still carrying on as well. And Axel Laflamme, again in the pits, dropped behind Johnny Gutierrez.
I didn't check. He's not grabbing tires or anything. He couldn't be. He'd have lost way more time if he did. So yeah, he must be just being, maybe his entry and exit are just being very gingerly with it to make sure that he doesn't have any issues there. But then, yeah, he's losing quite a bit of time through his pit cycles.
He is. Perhaps he is grabbing tyres. Zachary has jumped Magnus in the pits though. So we now have Zachary in front of Magnus. Can Magnus close in, or is he just going to drop back? Can Zachary? Zachary has jumped George and Jerry as well.
Right, yeah, by a lot.
Yes, for one extra lap, that's a big jump. George must have taken tyres, because George is now 15 seconds behind Jerry. So George has taken tyres in that. He's thought, midway point, I'm taking fresh tyres. A fresh set of hard tyres. You would have thought the hard tyres would make it fine to the end. George is going for outright pace, and he has quite a gap to close on Zachary. It's all looking good for Zachary.
I would say that when it comes to tires and George, he tends to destroy them no matter how hard they are. They could probably be stainless steel and he'd still chew through them. But as far as the change goes, you're absolutely right. Even if there wasn't only one axle, it's kind of surprising that with hard as he would do that. I could see it maybe for Jerry. Jerry would pull off the change, which if both of them did, that's certainly there. We're at the halfway point, so that would make sense if he's going to make a change now to it. But again, with an ambient of only 27 degrees and a track temperature of about 49, it's not terribly hot. It's sort of getting into that mini crossover zone, I guess, with the tires. I mean, you've dealt with the ARX so far. Do you feel a big difference at that point, that sort of temperature, or do you think that it's you kind of hold on to what you have and just take the time on the track?
I mean, the best thing to do is always to hold on to what you have and take the time on the track. But you raise a very good point with George. George does like to treat his front tyres very badly. I would hate for a front tyre to be his wife, because he would beat it into submission regularly. But so George taking tyres probably is a good idea, just because of his driving style, so that he can keep up that ragged pace and hope that Zachary and Jerry fall off a bit, because I do know with my experience with the Acura that it does get a bit twitchy as those tyres go off. When I was rear arb mapped to a button, and I was softening that rear arb as the race went on to try and keep the rear end in control. So I don't know whether Zachary will have that problem or not, whether Zachary does the long stints and knows how the car is going to handle, or whether he's going to get a sudden shock by doing a whole race without changing tyres if he hasn't before, finding that suddenly that Akura wants to whip round at every corner.
I can tell you that the heat cycling on those tires is certainly something to take into consideration. As you see Jerry Chen, he's closed that gap up. He's still holding station in front of George now by about 12 seconds, and he's within about a second and a half once he can get past through that gap. I'm sure he's going to be all over Zach.
As we've seen with Zach, passing Magnus Dahlgren does not seem like an easy task as Jerry dives up the inside. Jerry's going to prove me wrong here, isn't he? No. Magnus holds on with a little twitch.
Yes, not pulling a Ben Borman dive like we saw before. Oh yeah, Magnus is definitely struggling. I think he probably doesn't have a car that's going to be set up for this type of track. As we know, with these all-wheel drives, they tend to be a little understeer, even though that Toyota has gotten a good amount of tweaking. But I think you're absolutely right from your earlier comment saying that whatever setup he has is just not driving.
Well, I think you could be right with the four-wheel drive. I think this is the first race that I've seen this season where the four-wheel drive cars, there's not a single one in the top three. I know when I raced earlier in the season, I think there was only one podium at that point that wasn't a four-wheel drive car. So we've got the exact reverse here.
And Tom Lane is obviously one he loves going through doing the point and shoot corners because he can just blast through them, do the Tokyo drift and be on his way. He can't do that on this track. As you see, Gutierrez, our race leader, now coming up behind Jerry. So he's going to be able to move the factors in down in that turn. It's going to slow Jerry down a bit, but he might be able to get some of that back once he gets around Magnus.
Yes, Jerry will tuck in behind Johnny and hope that as Magnus moves out of the way, Jerry can nip through as well. Especially with them coming up on, is that Dan Kirby?
Yes,
or is that?
Oh, right in there. Not too bad.
Sensible Jerry.
Yep, it's not too bad.
Yeah, it was sensible. Jerry's eager to get past because when Magnus lets through Johnny, that's a fantastic chance to strike, and Jerry wants to be there to strike to then get onto Zachary and take the lead in Hypercar AM.
Gutierrez does need to kind of keep things up here. They're on this lap, 35.7 for Johnny, and also the Flam is at 34.3, so obviously traffic playing a bit of a role there, but he's taken that surplus, which is close to 10 seconds, brought it down. He's now just under 6. It's continuing to dive down. He does have the fastest lap in the race at 1:31.9, so the only ones. But it's still got a ways to go. Still traffic there, and Johnny's not slowing down all that much. So I think it's going to be a good fight all the way to the end.
It is, especially if Axel keeps overtaking and then taking tyres. That's the only thing that I can think of why he drops back so much, because his lap times are so fast. He could be taking tyres every stop and then just hammering out those insane lap times. Well, Johnny goes around the outside, off the track.
You see what Flan closed up quite a bit.
He did. But Jerry's taking advantage of it with Magnus going round the outside, no, going to the inside. The old switcheroo on the straight. Backs off.
Making a very complicated corner for some drivers. It's just a little bit off-road action there in the background. I thought that was the Flan back there, but no, it's not. That's, I didn't really catch it long enough. No, that's, the other accurate driver that we were just talking about.
Oh, Smeraldi. That's Alessandro.
Oh, yes.
Yes, Alessandro Smeraldi is an incredibly fast driver. So I imagine he was just being back in 10th. Perhaps something happened at the beginning or he wasn't too prepared. But he's obviously really getting up to speed now and running the same speed as the leader of the race.
Interesting point there. It almost looked like Jerry was blocking Gutierrez. I don't think that was what he was actually trying to do. I think he was trying to stay low coming off that corner and give him the outside lane, and Johnny just couldn't pull that gap up. But from that angle, it almost looked like he was like, stay out of my fight. I'm trying to get by this guy.
It did, didn't it? It looked... I'm surprised that Johnny's struggling so much to get past Jerry and Magnus. perhaps it could be a difference in tyres, but you would have thought he'd be passed quite quickly rather than taking this many laps.
Now, Spaldi is right there. He is going to be in, I believe, if I'm looking at this right now, the straight. I think he's coming up on. You're saying Gutierrez. I might be wrong on that. Is that Gilles Lalonde?
It's Gilles Lalonde. It is, isn't it? It's Gutierrez's teammate.
So maybe that's part of the reason why, because now he's got his hands full. As Smirol is coming around, and are they actually?
This is all for position.
That is all for position. This is position on track. This is pretty wild. So that would be maybe why Jerry was actually throwing at the block. He wasn't trying to say go around the outside. He's saying no, you go around the outside because we're all in it to win it. As they're surrounding that Lexus, is that JT Tammy? I can't see the placard on the side. Unfortunately, this is
JT.
Stuff.
It was David Yunt last time. It's JT this time. Those Lexuses getting swamped by the Hypers, as it looks like Gilles Lalonde has got past Jerry again. So Jerry's going to be going, no, why? I just want to close in on Zachary. Why are all these pro drivers all round me?
Yeah, the first podium battle going on here as Gilles now trying to get by Magnus Dahlgren. He's trying to catch up and get by both of them, so that way he is not in the last. Jerry's just trying to stay up out of the way, not lose too much time up to Zach ahead.
George has joined the battle.
From the back, surely he had to have taken tires to be that far back.
Yes.
At least on the front. Although we do know his opinion on split axle changes is. He's not a fan of it because it can really upset the balance. George is definitely someone who does not like being into the car.
George and Alessandro going extremely close through the bus stop behind there as we're watching Jerry Magnus.
Ooh, I think he got a touch there.
Mr. Director, we're watching the wrong battle here.
AI director, unfortunately, for this one. I would do it manually myself, unfortunately. My situation, I can't help myself. So we're only able to catch some glimpses here. Unfortunately, they're all covered by only a couple seconds, which is kind of wild. I'm not expecting to see this kind of action this late in, and it's like they're really coming up on. Pit stops here for the GTs.
GTs should be coming up. They should be coming up to pit stop soon, the GTs.
That is something as a GT driver I always enjoyed, was that if I was around any of the hypercars or anything, the kitchen would be good slipstream and just kind of. Although, like I said, it's sort of the same situation with the hypercars that some of the other drivers do. But I always like flipping down the safety car if I'm just stuck in, on a long corner or something where I can't do anything. It's like, well, might as well turn off the engine. Anything? Oh, and we see is that. In the background, there's a lot of action going on. Oh my gosh, everyone's on top of each other.
That was one of the Aston Martin hypercars off. We do have a few. It definitely wasn't Axel Laflamme.
That's Graf? Is that right?
Yes, Graf. Yeah. So he's now blocking Magnus as they all pile round Matt Overton as well. It's Matt Overton's turn. Everyone gets a turn to be the white girl on the sofa in the GT class today.
Let's say Dean Clark in the 31, so he's that other Cadillac.
He's in Cadillac, yes. So Magnus has a little breather there, as it looks like he has gone past Norm.
Just in the mix, but he's not actually doing Graf, though. He's also falling behind. I'm kind of surprised that he's having as tough a race as he is. Sometimes with some troubles, but this is particularly taxing for him, it seems.
I think it's just George, Jerry and Zachary's extreme pace, really. I mean, look, they are up battling with Magnus Gilles Lalonde and Alessandro Smeraldi in the pro class, who can all put out very good lap times. So I think all three of them are having a fantastic race rather than Norman Graff having a horrible race.
And we're racing.
Back here now, the broadcast director. Now
Daryl Kruger improves in sector 3.
All of this pack going by. He's tightened down. He's going to have a few more hypercars coming inside. This is all
Fastest sector 2 of the session.
Great
Tom
thing
Lane.
about this pack is we've got
Vasilis Katarinakis
5
finding time in
hypercars
sector
battling
2.
for position, and 2 in there
Traffic
as well.
cleared for George
lapped.
Angelidis.
Or as Alessandro Smeraldi's had an issue.
On board with Gilles
I think he might
Lalonde,
have
chasing
had a
Magnus
bit of a,
Dahlgren for P7.
rotation of the car coming up that hill like we saw with Matthew Overton.
Alan
earlier
Holden
on.
heading
And
into pit
again,
lane.
Very easy to do in that spot because you want to put the torque down. And the car is struggling for grip both sides.
Great progress from Brian Hall. Now P2 in LMGT3.
Our GT3 pit stops have started with Alan Holden coming into the pits. From second place, he had a healthy lead over Brian Hall though.
Riley
And
Koenig,
Dan Kirby had a
24
healthy
remaining.
lead over him. The GTs
Riley
have
Koenig on the
really
move in
split up
LMGT3.
this
Up to
race.
P3. George Angelidis all over Gilles Lalonde for P8. It's been a difficult day for Alan Holden, down from P15 to P18. A new personal
Yes.
best sector 2 there for Matthew Overton.
Clark, it looks like. Where is that? Is that still Gilles Lalonde?
Johnny
No,
Gutierrez
that's Gilles
continues
Lalonde.
to improve through sector
Hard
1.
to keep them all straight.
It's very hard. George has got Jerry though in all of this kerfuffle. Perhaps when Alessandro Smeraldi had a bit of a
Lap
wiggle on,
36 of 60 for
it
Jake
upset
Tammy.
Jerry a bit as well.
Jake Tammy climbs 1 position in the LMGT3 class.
Out just enough so that way you can stay on top of the place. And that's Jim right behind
Personal
you.
best in sector 3 for Tom Lane.
He's going to keep eyeing
0.4
on this
seconds, that's
section.
all there is in
I
it.
think Gilles is going to start running into some problems because he's using
Daryl
everything
Kruger
in his
goes
car to
green
try and get
in
up
sector
and down
1.
the track and not catch
Daniel
up.
Kirby holding
They're going to
P14.
be on for
P5 Timon Subic 17.1 back from the next car. Vasilis Katarinakis with 24 left to run.
I think Jerry's looking to catch up on that. Wow, Dahlgren up ahead, but big moment.
24 to go for Stephen Miller.
So, whilst you say it's all going to Constantino and they're all fighting, Zachary, who would have thought would be capitalising on this,
John Whean
isn't
sets a
actually
personal best
getting
through
away.
sector 2.
Magnus is
Zachary
only a
Chauveau
second behind
continues to
Zachary in
improve through
front.
sector 2.
And this is the fight for 6th
Alessandro
overall on
Smeraldi
the
goes
road
purple in
between
sector
3
3.
Hypercar AMs and 3 Hypercar Pros. Fantastic battle.
Dean Clark maintaining P13.
Especially so much later on in the race. Again, we thought that maybe pit stops or anything would break this up, but it's kind of proven the
Sector
opposite.
2
It just
improvement
bring
for
them all
David
back together
Jones.
again.
Great progress from David Jones.
Absolutely, as
Now
we
P3
see
in LMGT3.
John Uyan going past Daryl Kruger. And that will just be to put another lap on him. Daryl Kruger in 3rd in the GT AMS. With quite a chunk to Stephen Miller in front. Stephen Miller is closing in on Vasilis Katrinakis. So after having his little issues with the pits and with his spin, he has been steadily closing. So I wonder if Stephen Miller can get Vasilis by the end of the race. 8 seconds, well, 17 hypercar laps to go. So we see Johnny Gutierrez, who now has Axel Laflamme closed right in. It has taken Axel this whole stint to close in though, so if he has another long stop, Axel, that was having a little moment. Jerry capitalising, Jerry thinking finally I'm past one of these hypercar pros, only to find another one up the road in Magnus Dahlgren again.
Interesting enough, when Brad McGrath back, kind of mixed around this group. I mean, he's a lap down. You see him. Let's see. Here, so that's small. So that's back. Passing. But yeah, this was all for position, so Smallwood might now be free. This is after that impact of the wall coming out of the boot. Big fight going up into the S's.
Moraldi has got Shen as well now, so just as Jerry thought, I'm past one of these hypercar foes, another one's got him.
Oh, that's a squeezy moment there. Was that, I think that's Troy? Is that right, or is that Riley Koenig?
That was Riley. Yeah, Riley, who is currently running in second with after Alan Holden's pit stop. And Axel Laflamme, who's also currently running in second and only a second behind Johnny Gutierrez. But my big question is Axel Laflamme in this lap? Or has he now saved enough to switch on to a free stop strategy?
Let's be careful, because those types of maneuvers will work out of a penalty going out of Spa into the wall. So hopefully Riley doesn't get too much of that, although I'm trying to see what's happening here.
Zachary letting George through.
Okay, so some sort
bit of a team game going on there. Well, George is the one going for the individual championship, so it would, from a team sense, it would make sense. Oh, Soraldi is round.
If I had to guess, I would say that was probably more tires heading into the later part of the race. Just a brake bias to match, because that turn went more hard on the brakes.
Yes, and perhaps he could also lower his rear arm with the Acura.
Yeah, that's a very, very rigid spacecraft. It feels like it sometimes, but
it definitely does. He's back on board with Jerry Chen as he's behind Magnus Dahlgren. Jerry must be fed up with this view now.
Nice to see as much yaw going on in that car up ahead of Magnus Dahlgren. It's the type of thing you think that he would just be almost smoking the tires at the front trying to get it around the corner. So very unusual that he would be struggling this much.
That does seem to be the style of Magnus Dahlgren and Timon Subic though, so I reckon it's in their setup. And perhaps that is why they're struggling a bit at this track. Perhaps they have a bit too much oversteer.
He touches the curb. That's a hard hit.
Ouch. You see bits of the car left over the grass. Put on board with John Urian. As that is... Well, is that Johnny? I can't. Yes, that is Johnny going past because Axel Laflamme has pitted. Yeah, Laflamme's already pitted, so Laflamme has to do a 16-lap stint now. If Laflamme does not do a 16-lap stint, he's got no hope of victory.
I think he can do it. It's going to take some lift and coast if he can make it happen, but he should be able to.
I just hope he's going to realise to do it. Personally, I would have done the 16-lap stint this stint so that you can go faster in the final stint and only do the 15-lap then. But hopefully he will do that 16-lap stint and will have a real battle for the finish as Magnus goes past Zachary Chauveau. So that fight's ongoing as well. Magnus has spent ages behind Zachary, slowly closed up and gone straight through like it was nothing.
Interesting, down in GT3, Ian Miller is now back up in front of Katarakis, so I'm not sure if that's all pit cycle at this point. But
Stephen is now in the pits himself.
Yep, there he goes. So yeah, it's going to be a switch back. There he goes. We've got Kruger who will advance, but I think he still has to take his final stop as well.
For the pits, Stephen was closing in at a rate of knots on Vasilis Katranakis. It was down to 8 seconds. It looks like it may have come out at about 8.5 seconds again. So and Stephen close in over this time, as Zachary Giroux is now in the lead of Hypercar and again as George takes that earlier stop. So Zachary did let George through, but will the extra fuel put Zachary back in front again?
Josh Petrie is out of the race.
That's a shame for Josh.
Oh, big moment there as Chabot trying to figure out what's going on around Holden while simultaneously holding off Jerry Chen as we switch back to Gilles Wan, who's right behind this battle. As he navigates around Holden with a little less flair. And yeah, Jerry's just trying to, I think, keep Gilles behind him so he doesn't have that kind of interference.
Zachary's off wide and tries to get off the racing line, and that's exactly where Jerry is, trying to overtake him. So a bit of a miscommunication between Zachary and Jerry there, as Jerry's looking to the outside, Gilles to the inside. This is the battle that just keeps giving, isn't it? As they're all piling into the pits, all battling each other. Fantastic stuff.
Cue for the ice cream line as they're all coming through. Let's look back here at Swiraldi, who hopefully hasn't had too much of his cheek done. He probably, trying to avoid Dahlgren, probably just locked it up in the back. It's so easy to do.
Yeah, very easy, and it becomes easier, especially in that Acura, as the tyres get old. So we're on board with Ben Borman, who is leading as he comes into the pits. 40-second gap. So this time, Axel Laflamme has come out 15 seconds in front of Johnny after the final round of, or what is probably the final round of pit stops, unless Axel went light. So I don't understand how he gained 15 seconds otherwise.
There's no way that you want to go right here because you're going to want to make it to the end. Maybe a lap, a couple meters most. You're not going to be able to get too much out of these tanks. You really got to get everything you can.
Yes, generally they are. So I'm surprised by the gap, but it looks like, is Ben going to come out? No, Ben's not going to come out in front of Johnny.
So interesting here with the GT3s. Youngs has now jumped Kirby.
That will be from fuel. I'm sure David will still have another stop to do, same as JT behind.
So, lazy slide. I believe that's Lalonde.
If it was Gutierrez, it would explain the gap.
That's actually a good point. Yeah, I didn't.
They do have the same livery. I don't know that I couldn't see the numbers, but they do have the same livery, so it would explain why Johnny has dropped back. Johnny has come out. Well, Ben has come out in front of Johnny as well, which I didn't think was going to happen.
No, not after that hard hit up to the S's where you're carrying so much speed. You come right on the corner of the car. There's no way you could be running that car and not be holding the wheel at about 45 degrees. The way it was, you got extremely lucky. Back here.
Very impressive drive.
Leon's loading, making an argument out of it. Oh, big argument. Spins. Gets it faced the right way, but that's going to hurt for the rest of the race.
Yes, that was a bit painful to watch. Not really a fun argument to watch there.
And drivers are, Yuki Takanashi now getting a penalty. I guess that's probably for track extensions, because I don't think they're going through their cycles right yet.
Seeing Alessandro again in the replay, this is going to be another little round, but that's the same one from before, isn't it?
Yeah, this is different. Yeah, he's been struggling all race, and I know that he's got so much more pace in that car, so this has got to be painful for him. And it's always a downhill struggle too, because as soon as you have even just a spin, like you don't even have to hit anything, as soon as his tires are heated up, it's difficult to drive there. If it's not just rattling in your hands, they've already been kind of heated up, and so now you're doing everything you can to mitigate that damage. But then the mental process too of like, oh, it's already happened once, you got to stay on top of it. So it just everything just starts slowing down the first time it happens.
Yes, it does. And it's so much easier to just keep spinning. So we're watching Johnny chasing down Ben Borman for second place. So we have got a big fight at the end of the race in Hypercars, but it's for second place rather than the lead, with Axel and Fang scampering off 20 seconds down the road.
Managed to make up that gap pretty handily here, so it was about 2.5 seconds in 2 laps, about a second a lap. It doesn't surprise me too terribly much. Gutierrez has really good pace in that Cadillac. He's fighting a flagging Borman who's struggled from the beginning, but even if Ben is able to take a podium out of this, that would still be very impressive.
Yes, it would, with that big hit on the wall. It's absolutely incredible how Ben's muscled his way around with this car and made such good time as well, because he's had to catch back up with Johnny with that broken car. Incredible stuff.
Very good. Quick shot here, Daryl Kruger now at the last step of the podium in GTM. He's been doing everything he can to stay on top of this. He's ahead at Overton. I'm surprised I'm going to see traffic here.
He is ill, I believe. I saw a message from Max, unfortunately. So Daryl is the lone McLaren today.
And then with Overton, I myself, he has running on his team. Also a lone gunman in the team's championship, so he's doing everything he can to maximize points. 60-second gap, he's got a lot to accomplish from this team to the end. Only 10 laps to go for the Hypercar, so that's going to be 15 minutes or so.
Unfortunately, that's going to mean there's not enough time for Stephen Miller to close in, as Vasilis has started to pull a tiny bit. It's staying fairly level, which is absolutely music to Vasilis' ears, and a horror for Stephen, as he's going to be kicking himself for that spin earlier on for what could have been an easy win. As we see Jerry, guess who's he's behind? Magnus. Jerry's flashing his lights away. I've had enough of this.
Please move out of the way. This is what Jerry's saying. I just want to try and do what I can to catch my rival George.
Unfortunately, George is 12 seconds down the road now. George has really capitalised on having free road, free air, and he's just zoomed off, as we've got a replay here of Ben and Johnny getting through some of the GT traffic past one of the Lexuses, as Johnny goes up the inside of Ben Borman, and we cut away. He didn't make it though, as we're back on board with Johnny, as we've got, is that Alessandro behind as well. So Alessandro probably could match these two if he hadn't have been spinning his car round all the time. So I wonder if he'll be able to just stick on the back of these two and follow them through now, as they are lapping. Is that John Oulian that they're lapping there?
John, who has been pretty quiet all race long, he's kind of struggled a little bit for what he usually have in pace. He's down in 6th place in the GT's pros, right ahead of JT Tammy at like 3 seconds. So 2 heavyweights that I'm surprised they're so far down. I could say the same thing with Takanashi. He sort of had since now some of the cars running. So
JT had his issue earlier as well, didn't he? Right at the beginning of the race.
Unfortunately, happening here in multi-car class racing that you get just takes a little bit of a tap.
Yes, it happens to the best of us, doesn't it? Viscera, I'll just look down the inside and hope to scare him by Gutierrez, as Ben comes up to Riley Koenig just at the wrong time, and Riley's all over the back of Brian Hall as well, looking for that 4th place in the GT.
That's concerning coming out of the carousel corner there. He's definitely got wide, and I was worried that he was going to come up to the GTs and possibly have an incident really wants to get by Ben. And I'm surprised he hasn't been able to make a move yet for his car race to close the gap, but catching is one, passing another.
It is, and Ben Borman's probably just, oh, there's someone behind me. I'll just up the pace a bit.
Yeah. Just against it a little bit more. I mean, he's got 20 seconds up to the flam, so I imagine either running out of fuel or an incident is the only hope he has to be able to get up on the top step.
That's as long as Axel remembers to save the extra lap.
Very good point. Yeah, now he does have the space and time to do it, so he should be able to.
A bit rude there by Tom Lane going past Riley Koenig. I'm having this inside line whether you like it or not.
I've seen Tom like this later in the race, although usually it's when he's right within striking distance of the competitor. He's kind of off in no man's land. Like you said, the all-wheel drive car is really struggling here. He should watch for the track, although he's only 10 seconds behind Gutierrez, so if he's managed to hold on to that car.
He is. So if Axel Sam does have to do a one-lap splash, that will promote Tom into third and only be 9 seconds off the lead, which, if the four-wheel drive cars are struggling, that's quite the race. As Johnny looks around the outside of Ben Borman here, and Alessandro Smeraldi is just watching them going, I could be with these guys. I could do this.
It's actually kind of impressive that he's hanging with them so well after everything he's been through. Obviously, besides just turning his tires up somewhat, he's caught a few good whacks off the walls. He's surprisingly doing well.
He is. He's a very, very talented driver, this Alessandro, isn't he?
Got some traffic here up in front. Oh, jeez, it looked like that Cadillac that's at Clark again. I wonder if he ran out of fuel. He's getting swamped back there.
He was just letting people through, as looks like we're up with David Yunt again and Vasilis Katrinakis as we go through. And it's a shame Alessandro isn't for position, because this would be a fantastic three-way fight, wouldn't it?
Yeah, looks like we have a little bit of change of position between some of the drivers here since it's showing us replay, so I'm wondering if actually Graf is the only one around Sraldi and not in class.
Does look like we are watching the best fight out of everyone. Our 6-car battle with the 3 Hypercar AMs and 3 Hypercar Pros seems to have all fizzled out, with George Angelidis having a 14-second lead over Jerry, who has a 4-second lead over Magnus. Magnus and Gilles are quite close, with Zachary losing out 5 seconds behind, and Alessandro, our rear gunner of this battle, or of that previous battle, now being the rear gunner of the battle for second place.
So Matthew Overton there, he was in the mix of that. There's a little bit of that in the fight we just saw, confusion here on the replay, but yeah, Matthew Overton now getting swamped. He's definitely a factor here, as Ben Borman's been compromised, and he is line coming through. You can see that he had to put a block on the inside to keep chairs behind him.
That replay was going on. Johnny got Ben.
Yeah. Just caught the little spot now. They're still in second place. He's been losing some time to Kirby, unfortunately. Although Young has been coming up to him. Looks like he's been able to make up a little bit of time there. He's had he was having slightly faster times. Still looks like he's backed off a little bit to hold him now. Probably about a 10th of a lap.
It's very similar, weren't they? I wonder if Johnny got Ben Borman as they were past Alan Holden. As we look back at Yuki Takanashi in his Porsche. Yes, very fast lap times that Yuki is running down there by himself. The fastest GT on track by half a second at the moment. And that includes Dan Kirby, who is the next fastest. And with Brian Hall the third fastest. So Brian Hall flying in the Corvette late in the race. Well, no need to push hard right at the end of the race with a lead like that. I know the Porsche is another one that can get a little squirrely as the tyres go off. So just run it in home and make sure he keeps it out the wall. We've seen all the other, well, not all the other Porsches, but a lot of the other Porsches struggle this race.
Yes, definitely, like you say, Porsche doing Porsche things, the famous line. And
Sillis off wide, I guess just letting Magnus through. Another one where all he has to do is keep it on the road, but that has allowed Stephen Miller a sniff. As we see Stephen just in the background.
Yeah, this is actually closing it down. I'm wondering if Sillis is maybe doing a little bit of fuel management, or if Stephen is keeping on. He's just looking at the lap times. Stephen is closing that gap. We're seeing it on the screen, but the last lap through, he had about a second on him. So if he keeps that up, even if half a second, he might. I think he'll get to him before the end of the race if he keeps that up and doesn't succumb to pressure.
Unfortunately, Ross, Stephen's last lap was 2 tenths slower than Vasilis.
It updated, just as it came across. So maybe he just had a moment of inspiration that died off there.
Yes. Hopefully he can get some more moments of inspiration and we can have a close battle for the GT3 and lead at the end of the race.
Watching the back of the GT pack is having a battle right now. Koenig, Guyon, and Tammy are all about 3 to 4 seconds apart from each other. Most of them have been stationed there. And actually behind Brian Hall, too. So just outside the podium, everyone's pretty close together.
They are.
We'll see if any of that changes. But they're not far away from one another as it comes down to those. It's certainly impressive to see Brian Hall take up that C8 and make some work. I'd love to see all of those manufacturers being represented.
It is good to see variation in the field rather than just Porsche Cup.
Variation. This is Magnus Dahlgren back on round 6 or 7. I'm not sure which one with Gilles
95, I think.
Gilles is definitely, we haven't seen too many of his interactions outside of when he's kind of been caught in his battle groups. This is definitely a one-on-one match that they've got going on. He's trying to do everything he can to get back into the top 5.
And Gilles has been looking quite quick, just struggling to get through all the traffic of that massive hypercar battle where he lost out, and now he's looking very feisty there behind Magnus. That's Tom Lane and Ben Borman now fighting. Tom Lane has closed all the way up on Ben Borman, it would seem. And is he going to go make it through?
Making a work for it.
Round the outside, round the outside, round the outside. Great move by Tom Lane there, up into podium position. So, not bad at all by Tom. I wonder if Ben Borman is really suffering in his broken Acura now.
Yeah, there's no way he hasn't been dealing with all that. Because that WEC came very early on. It was right after the first round of pit stops. He was up there, he's looking great, and then unfortunately, bam, GT right in the lap.
With 3 laps to go, I think Axel Flam is doing all the fuel saving he needs to do. He was 1.2 seconds slower than Johnny Gutierrez over that last lap. So I think Axel Flam probably has this, so we're on board with Zachary Chirot as he goes past CMS Pro Porsche, as he's following that battle that we were on board with, and he goes past the other Porsche.
This is Lalonde finally gets a move up the inside. This is the door. Not terribly strong of a door closing. Let's see if we can announce that pass.
Zachary had a fantastic view of that pass though, didn't he, there? As he went past Riley in the Porsche.
She almost didn't close that door enough because Magnus ran it all the way down to the line and had a little bit of an overlap.
I'm looking in his mirrors to see if there's a blue Porsche pop up at any point. As Riley is now 2.8 behind, with John Urian, some CMS on CMS Pro on CMS Blue Battle, gonna go off soon.
He's about halfway through that final lap, so he should be coming up here and knocking the end of the race. So back here, Chivo is making himself a bit of an element in this battle. I don't think Magnus is going to have anything before Gilles, but as we know, it's never over till it's over, and Gilles will certainly make a mistake as they come to what should be the last lap of the race.
From watching Magnus, I don't think he's going to have anything left on his tyres. He's running on pure thread, isn't he?
I think so, yeah. There's nothing left in it for him. Just watching what some things last lap was. Yeah, I think you're right. He was slowing down, but he should be able to make it now after he comes up past the line.
Yeah, just coming past the CMS Blue and the CMS Pro cars now. Zachary get past Magnus before the end. Will he even care though, really, being in Hypercar Am and Hypercar Pro? Or is he going to go, you've been the bane of us Hypercar Am's race, I will get you?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly, one could argue that you shouldn't be battling outside of your class when obviously there is a battle going on up ahead. However, making sure that you have that track position can play into your ELO, so your ranking going forward. So in this case, Zach is fighting for position on track. So it's something that is certainly used for that kind of argument.
He could do indeed. I think he might also just want to finish in a higher position. A racing driver always wants to finish in the highest position they can, and a P9 sounds better than a P10 overall. Also, there's a bit of bragging rights there for Hypercar Ams. With how many Hypercar Pros you beat, I beat 2 Hypercar Pros sounds a lot more impressive than I beat 1.
Of course.
Is good.
Flam coming around to finish off the race and win the 60 laps of the Glen.
Wiggle across the line for Axel. Obviously happy with that one to finally have a race all come together for him. And a nice 11-second gap as he crossed the line.
Excellent finish to this one. It's battle right to the end. They were after they've been through so much throughout here.
Absolutely, and George is going to be over the moon with this one as well, isn't he? He's just coming round on his final lap. He's actually very close to Dan Kirby, who's coming round to win in the LMGT3s.
Yes, for sure.
That's George, the Hypercar, in behind as well to take his respective class win. Fantastic race by George. Lots of battling. He'll be very happy with that, with all the battling going on, then pulling out a 10-second lead in the end.
There was a lot that could have gone wrong for him, for sure, especially in this fight with Jerry Chen. Lots of good team orders going on between that. As they were working on the field system. So they're going on through. As he had his battle with the likes of Magnus Dahlgren, who's quite the punching bag throughout that race, I have to say.
He really was, wasn't he? The three Hypercar Ams of George, Jerry and Zach all took turns having a go at Magnus, didn't they? And as you said, the team play between Zachary and George, fantastic there. When Zachary let George through, and then it seemed like he just slowed up and just held Jerry up, allowing George to run away could have been instrumental to George's win.
And now we see some of the other drivers as they make their way out through the final corners of the track. Stephen Miller coming through, taking second place as he was fighting viciously to catch up with Vasilis. Unfortunately, couldn't close that gap down. The laps left. Lots of good fuel strategy. Didn't see anybody run out at the end.
No, everyone got it together. Axel Flam did his 16 lap stint. Going back to Stephen Miller, I was very impressed by his pace. Fantastic pace through the race, Stephen. If it wasn't for those two little errors that he had that are so easy to do, he would have dominated. Absolutely dominated. So great race by Stephen. Should give him a lot of confidence heading into the rest of the championship. He would have closed up on a lot of his rivals today. No, Vasilis will get away from him a bit, but he'll have the confidence that he can really take it to everyone and be a dark horse of that AM championship.
Definitely, for sure. Yeah, he's made light work of it, or maybe not light work. Taking a look here at the end of the race results. As Axel Flam takes the win. Johnny Gutierrez running up behind after a strong fight. Tom Lane beating down Ben Borman right there at the end with Subic holding on for the top 5. George Angelides comes in first place for the Hypercar AM, followed by Jerry Chen after a long-standing battle throughout. Joe Lamont and Magnus Dahlgren playing punches to one another all the way to the end, as we saw Zach Chabot coming up right behind that group. Sorry, we're dealing with a little bit of lags. Bear with us as we go through that. Going down through Alessandro Smeraldi, unfortunately having a lot of troubles throughout the end of that. Norm Graff also suffering a bit of his own, and Dean Clark rounding out the end of the runners in Hypercar. Kicking over to Dan Kirby there, who had a bit of a walkabout towards the end, although not always guaranteed, as he wasn't in the lead the entire time. Alan Holden certainly keeping him honest, followed by David Yunt and Brian Hall showing pretty well for that C8 with its new BOP. Riley Koenig definitely being a factor in there and scoring top points for the CMS Pro Blue. John Uyan, who'd fallen back after some troubles earlier on. We're not sure exactly what happened with him on that one. And JT Tammy, obviously, with that early pit stop that definitely hurt him, and he could have been a factor, I think, through the rest of this race, but unfortunately, he fell down the order and suffered a bit more than, well, he probably should have. Still, Skataranakis taking the win in the GTMs, followed by Stephen Miller, who's trying to catch him at the end, but just ran out of time, with Yuki Takanashi unfortunately falling victim to some earlier race troubles with Daryl Kruger and Matthew Overton, who was definitely not having the race that he would have liked to, and Josh Lepetri, the only DNF for the race. So pretty good overall there, with a slightly more condensed field, I guess you could say. It worked out where most everyone made it to the end.
It's impressive, really, in any multi-class to only have one DNF, isn't it? So everyone kept it together very well. And there wasn't really many incidents between the cars, so very safe driving from everyone in that race.
Very impressive. Yeah, overall, it's a great race. It gave us a lot to witness, a lot to talk about. We've got some of our winners coming into this one here. We'll start bringing them in one at a time, starting at the back of the field with Vasilis Kataranakis taking the win in the GTM. Vasilis, how you feeling?
Well, I am feeling okay. I suppose. George said it was a long time coming, but if I'm perfectly honest, I don't know if things will stand because of we had a couple of contacts. I don't know if the steering covered it with Stephen Miller. I'm thinking that it might be some drive-thrus coming along my way, but I will enjoy the champagne as long as it lasts now, and hope that the win sticks at least.
Yeah, go ahead, Becky. Feel free to take it.
Fantastic win, Vasilis. You must be extremely happy. How much pressure were you under from Stephen Miller at the end?
It was a lot of pressure. He was driving very well. I think there was only one mistake that he actually did all race long, and that was that little spin that gave me the lead, and that was it. But there was also pressure coming for the fuel because it was very close, right? I short-filled a little bit, so that was amazing. To have a strategy actually pay off for once, I suppose. But yeah, that's it. Steven drove a great race today. Great race.
Well done, Vasilis. And after I remember what happened at Imola, you must be over the moon for your strategy to actually work it out. Well done on that
Yes.
one.
Thank you.
Is there anybody you would like to shout out to today?
I would like to say a big thank you to everybody who organized this race, and obviously for you two coming in clutch and doing the commentary. And also would like to thank my buddy Krobs and Steve Diesel, because last time with Steve especially, he was very mad that I didn't mention him when I won. So here you are, Steve. You haven't mentioned.
Great
Anyways,
stuff.
that's all from me. Thank you all.
Thanks, Vasilis. Well done today.
Okay, so we'll jump up to the top of the GT field. Dan Kirby, who put on a great show, had a pretty leisurely race. Maybe not from his perspective, but Dan, go ahead and tell us how it was.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I was surprised Alan was so quick with the Lambo. He kept me honest for at least that first stint, and I think I probably saved my tires a little bit better and stuff, and kind of eventually eked out the gap over the whole race. But yeah, it was a good race.
Yeah, we definitely got to witness some of those moments as things were going on throughout, and made it entertaining, certainly with some of the pit stop cycles that put things into a bit of jeopardy. Overall, did you feel like the interactions multi-class felt pretty reasonable?
Yeah, it was pretty good this race, actually. Just a couple little, it wasn't a good idea, buddy moments, but nothing nothing crazy this time. It was pretty good.
Yeah, for sure. And we saw that all your teammates were pretty well into it. So pretty good points day overall. You guys are feeling pretty good then as we head into the next one at Sao Paulo.
Yeah, for sure. It should be a fun track. It's a really awesome track to drive. So looking forward to that. And it's already next week.
Yeah, very quick turnaround after a bit of the shuffling here with Le Mans and all those dates being moved about. But yeah, right now you guys should have a pretty good lead ahead of your rivals, JT Tammy and David Young, going through the championship. So you can basically relax and have some fun.
Yeah, relax.
I know it's still only basically halfway through the season, but yeah, anyone you want to give a shout out to before you take off?
Shout out to you guys. So apparently you're the broadcast team today.
Yeah, it was a little bit last minute clutch, but yeah.
It's very refreshing to hear, Dan, that you do. It sounds like you do appreciate the victories. It looks so easy from a spectator's point of view for you. So it's great to hear that they are hard work victories and not just easy. It's another Saturday. Yes, another day, another win. So I do love that from you, and well done today on a fantastic race.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, Dan. Well, we'll let you go and bring in the next one. Congratulations, and we'll see you at Sao Paulo.
All right, thank you guys.
All right, we'll bring in now George Angelidis, taking it up for the Hypercar AM after a very hard-fought battle between rival Jerry Chen and a couple times it looked like his teammate Zach. How you doing, George?
Hi. It's it's a bit exhausting, huh? But it was a good race. I think we had a good fun with Zach and Jerry there. A couple of contacts. I don't know what is gonna go, or I need to hear Jerry's opinion on some of it. I thought they were fair, just a bit hard racing. But yeah, I just the first part, my plan was to do 2 doubles on hards, and the first pit stop, after the contact with Jerry, my steering wheel was off and then it was burning more the front left. So I said, oh, I'm not going to be surviving the double if I need that. So I need to fix that. Ended up being a 20-second repair, which was almost like taking tires. So I went at the back, had speed in the car, passed everybody in the front because I think Zach and Jerry were going a lap longer. So I was pushing more. So I got them out in the front. Then we go halfway into the race. Then I have to do my schedule, 4-tire stop, go at the back, have to pass everybody in the front. And then all of a sudden you realize that there were a couple of Hypercar Pro guys that they decided, I have no idea why, to do the race with no tire changes. And then they ended up being moving chicanes. I don't know what was that all about, and how aggressive they were defending on some stuff was nonsensical to me. But anyway, past those guys again, and then open a gap, and then I had to do a double on the last one. Jerry started plucking away, but I think he was on medium, so he changed only left-hand sides. So he didn't have the tires at the end. So kind of like established the running order at the end. But it was a fun race. I bet you guys were having some very close calls there between the three of us fighting.
Between the three of you? You mean the six of you, don't you?
You mean the three not for position? Yes, but yeah, there were also. I think Magnus was involved in a couple of those, and then Gilles was involved in a couple of those, and then Alessandro at some point came in. Yeah.
Going through your head when you were in that 6-car battle with 3 pros and 2 other fellow AMs, one of them being your teammate that obviously you don't want any contact with through that close racing?
Yes. I mean, I knew that Zach was in a different strategy, so he was going to let me, but to reach Zach there were like 2 or 3 cars in between him and me. And I mean, let's say that what was going on in my head at the time was not broadcast friendly, but it was. I was upset because of the circumstances that put me there, but I knew that I could get, Jerry, if it was given a clean track. Obviously, then the next 2-3 laps had GT traffic, so I had to back out. I came in very close with Joss at one point where I think he tried to let Jerry go, and then I was stuck behind him because I had Jerry on my right side, so I kind of we went in together out. But eventually, when you pass through Jerry and then you have 2 pros in there between you, fighting as hard as they do for a car behind that is not for position, I don't know. That was not really nice at the time. I was not happy with that. But yeah, it is what it is. It's part of the game, I guess. Yeah. And we'll go to the next one. I think it was a good fight between the 3 of us in AM, let's say. Yeah, massive thanks to Zach and Ali for the setup again, and the work on the numbers and then the tires, because I was a little bit on the back foot here. So Zach just gave me a setup. It was beautiful. And then Ali was doing all the work on the fuel and the tires. So I just had to drive. So they do the hard work, and I just drive.
Are we going to see Ali again?
I mean, he was with us. He was on our 3-way voice comms.
Well, on track, I mean.
I don't know. You have to ask him. He always complains that he's 7 seconds slow.
Sounds like he's worth having in the pit lane, though, as your strategist.
Yeah, it's good. How it is when you're running all that stuff in your head. You always take so much mental capacity, and it's easy for me to come up with a strategy or a plan and tell them, "This is what I want to do. Please somebody run the number and do it, and tell me what I need to be done." Then I have to be doing the numbers while I'm driving and while I'm changing stuff on the car. So that has helped me a lot this season because I can run it. I can run the play. I can tell somebody to help me out with it. They can run it. They can even suggest me some stuff or give me pointers. And then I can focus more on the driving, which is basically my weakest point. So when I focus all of it there, it turns out all right.
All right is an understatement, George. Do you realise you've just won 4 races in a row?
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
It is with incredible pace as well. Not just winning 4 races in a row. You've dominated.
Well, that's good, but I don't know. More than anybody, I know what it is to lead the championship to the last round and lose it in the last corner on the last lap. So it's just, just keep cranking the points, keep getting the gap. And it's not over till it's over, So we'll try. I'm trying. It's looking better than other seasons, that's for sure.
Well, congratulations regardless. You got a little bit of a margin now ahead of Jerry and Eric, so heading into Sao Paulo, that'll help. And you're that much closer to getting that poster finally.
Yeah, hopefully.
All right, George. Well, we'll let you go and talk to you in the after race. But again, congratulations.
Thank you.
And we'll bring in our overall race. Our overall race winner here, Axel Laflamme. How are you doing? Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I'm doing pretty good now. Can you hear me?
We can.
Sorry. I was just moving a room.
No, it's okay. I'm just on my phone, so I don't know how it's going to work. But pretty crazy race. Didn't make it easy for myself, but yeah, very happy to be here.
Well, congratulations on that. How was it out there? There were some. It looked like you had a pretty healthy lead, and as the pit stops started coming and going, it looked like you got jumped a couple times. Were you just taking it easy? Were you changing tires? What was the strategy?
So for the first stop, I kind of messed up and took 2 front tires, which is basically like taking all 4, from what I understand. So yeah, that was kind of a mess up. Lost a lot of time there. And then I took another set of tyres for the next stop, and then double stinted from there. So yeah, I was basically just taking tyres and hoping that the pace was going to come to me.
Johnny Gutierrez was definitely trying to run you down as much as he could, but didn't quite have it towards the end. As far as some of the traffic and everything, how was it for you?
There were some, breathe-in moments for sure. But generally speaking, fairly good. There was one incident I had when Johnny was trying to overtake one of the CMS Porsches, and they got tangled up going through the big, long right-hander after the chicane. They got tangled up with each other and spun across in front of me, and I got a huge amount of damage, but managed to keep going. So I lost 10 seconds there or something.
And how close were you on fuel at the end of the race?
Marginal. I think I had half a lap left. Yeah, lots of fuel saving.
Yeah, Becky was kind of calling out there. She's like, wow, based off the way the last couple stops had been, that was much faster, so it's probably going to be pretty close.
Yeah, no, I realized I was only getting 16 laps out of the fuel, and I had 20 laps on the final stint, and I didn't want to splash. So it was, using a bit of clutch in places to try and have the engine not even idling really, a lot of tricks. But I managed to extend by 4 laps, so that was, lucky, really fortunate. But yeah.
Becky, what do you think on that one?
I think it was some impressive fuel saving. I'm wondering whether the clutching in is frowned upon. I sometimes do it myself to fuel save, and I'm always like, should I be doing this? What do you feel about that, Axel? Should we be allowed the clutch to save fuel?
It's a tool that a driver has to use. The way from my perspective, a driver has to be able to try and use every tool that they have available to them, right? So if you're going to give me a clutch that I can manipulate myself, I'm going to manipulate it. But I think it's fair. I mean, every other driver has the opportunity to do it if they want. But yeah, I don't know. It is what it is, I guess. If somebody wants to ban it, I'd be okay with that too. I can make it without it.
Hey, if I'm gonna have a clutch, I'm gonna use it. Like you said, it's
Yeah. I mean, they don't tell Shane Van Gisbergen to not use the clutch in the corners, so I guess it should be all right for us.
Exactly.
That is a good point. And hand clutches are very handy for doing that, aren't they?
Well, I have a foot clutch.
Oh, you do it with the foot clutch?
Yeah, I have a rally wheel and 3 pedals, so I'm using a foot clutch.
Oh, that's
which
a
is
bit
fun.
trickier.
Yeah, you have to be careful.
That's some real talent in there, using the foot clutch to save a bit of fuel.
I don't know if it's talent, but I'll take it as a compliment. Thank you very much.
Well, are we going to see you and your teammates showing up at Sao Paulo next week?
Well, I'll definitely be there, but I'm hoping Mika and Kevin will be there as well. Kevin's currently doing some personal stuff, like he's moving, I believe, so he may not be available, but Mika probably will be. So at least there'll be 2 Apex cars on the grid, which will be nice. Anyway, thank you very much, guys.
Yeah, thank you. Anyone else you want to give a shout out to? Any other words before you leave us?
No, not really. This weekend it was all me. No help from any of my teammates or anything. I just had to kind of figure it out. So really happy about this, and looking forward to the rest of the season.
Yeah, and congratulations. After Spa and Le Mans, it's good to see that you're able to finally get the pace and put it to good use and have a race that you can. Yeah. Well, we'll let you go, Axel, and thanks again for jumping in, and congratulations.
Yeah, cheers. Have a good rest of your weekend, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Axel. Well done.
Okay. Well, Becky, what do you think about that one, coming in and running 60 laps at the Glen?
26 people with 4 classes sounds like a small group, but wow, was that an entertaining one with so much battling and suddenly everyone coming together all the time, the different pit stop strategies. It was incredible. How did you feel about it?
It certainly brought a lot more entertainment than I was expecting. It's certainly a lot more controlled chaos, I guess you could call it, than might have been anticipated. Like you said, 26 drivers, relatively long track, but yeah, lots of great fights all over the place. Drivers moving around, some dropping who we didn't expect, some rising up that were kind of out of nowhere. But all in all, great race, fairly clean, no complaints.
Really was an entertaining watch, and some great interesting things happening in the championships because of it as well. Will Axel be able to mount a late challenge? Will Stephen Miller be able to become the dark horse of the GT3 AMS? Will anyone ever be able to stop Dan Kirby ever again in GT3 Pros?
These are all excellent questions. And as we head into Sao Paulo next week, we'll hopefully get some good answers. It is the summertime break for some, but we're still running pretty frequently here at CMS and for the VWSC. So I guess with that, we will see you all next time. And hopefully we can have JPP coming back for the next one and fill in regularly. But thanks again for all who've been here, and we will see you at the next one.